But Four for Texas. It stars Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Anita Ekberg, and me, Ursula Andress.
Interesting facts about famous people.
The worst westerns of the 60s. A great time for the western genre, with the likes of The Magnificent Seven, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, and many more. We all have our favourites. I've made many videos on these. Take a look in my channel. For every great, there is at least one that didn't do so well. All subjective, of course. This video is on some of these. Not my personal choices, but based on online rating sites. I may add my comments. Let me know what you think. Maybe you'd add or remove some. If you enjoy this video, hit the notification button to get my new videos. Head over to my channel if you want to check out my many other videos. The link is in the description. Please take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel as well. I really do appreciate it. Let's get into it. (1960) Hella in Pink Tights. Director George Cukor. Sophia Loren and Anthony Quinn led the Great Healy Dramatic and Concert Company, a travelling theatre group in Hella in Pink Tights. Running from creditors, involved with gunslingers, living on the edge, as the film does. The audience bemoans Loren's performance and shallow storyline. In the end, these non-Western actors simply failed to bring this Western home. Roger Moore was George Cukor's first choice to play impresario Tom Healy, but the studio did not consider him a big enough star and imposed Anthony Quinn, who was already under contract. Cukor and Quinn did not get along. Cukor originally wanted either Jack Lemmon or James Garner to join the cast.
The authentic recapturing of the world of the footlights in a time when performers knew their lines and showmen learned to get just as tough as gunmen.
(1961) A Thunder of Drums. Director Joseph Newman. Up-and-comers George Hamilton, Richard Chamberlain and Dwayne Eddy were enough to make A Thunder of Drums a success. The film follows a soured veteran captain, an angry young lieutenant, and a band of renegade Indians whose actions will test them both. Losing an estimated $42,000 at the box office, the formulaic plot does nothing new, and limited action sequences make this a less than enjoyable western. Writer James Warner Bellar was best known for his many successful westerns. Many in Hollywood found it odd that a film with such a solid cast was such a box office failure. (1962) Wild Gals of the Naked West. Director Russ Meyer. In case the title didn't tip you off to the fact that Wild Gals of the Naked West is not your average western movie. This is in fact a nudie film, intended to be a spoof of classic western films. The story here is told in flashbacks and peppered with lame jokes. Bottom line, most viewers agree that it's just horrible. An old geezer recalls some of the antics of the men and women of his western town, more wild and woolly than Tombstone or Dodge City. In this town, no one is a good shot. The women are hungry for new meat, and practical jokers abound. A stranger strolls into town, proving resistant to the mayhem, and after donning some cowboy duds, begins cleaning up that town.
Well, there were times when he didn't appear what you'd call real bright. All that free room rent. Like most other bad western towns, the center of sin and evil and trouble, big trouble, was the saloon. No stranger ever really survived there.
1963, Four for Texas. Director Robert Aldrich. A western comedy starring Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin as two sharpshooters, both vying for $100,000 and defending it from would-be robbers. In the end, they team up and use the money to open a casino, hoping to multiply their cash, only to find that the bullets and the schemers follow. Anita Ekberg and Ursula Andress, did nude screen tests, Hollywood's first. However, the Hays Board removed all nudity from the finished film. Director Robert Aldrich intensely disliked Frank Sinatra's non-professional attitude and tried unsuccessfully to have him dismissed from the film. Ursula Andress, who played Dean Martin's romantic interest in this movie, dated his son, Ricky Martin, in real life.
Take it from me, partner. The Far West has never been so far out.
1964, The Quick Gun. Director Sidney Salko. A low budget doesn't mean that a movie is going to be bad, but in the case of The Quick Gun, it does. A disgraced gunslinger, Audie Murphy, returns to his former town in order to claim his father's ranch. On the way, runs into his old gang and learns of their plot to rob the bank in the town he's headed for. The action sequences are weak, likely because the budget didn't allow for them to make them exciting. Many critics cite this as their #1 reason for disliking the film. Murphy was paid $37,500 for his performance. James Best, who plays Sheriff Scotty, also played a sheriff in The Dukes of Hazzard, 1979, Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane. There are frequent variations on Do Not Forsake, Oh My Darling, within the musical score. 1965, Tickle Me. Director Norman Turog. Elvis had his pick of projects, including the 1965 Tickle Me. In it, the rock and roll legend plays a singing cowboy hired as a stable hand at a luxury ranch for the rich and famous socialites, falling in love with the fitness trainer, and has to defend her from a gang who's after the gold her grandfather left behind. A cult classic among Elvis fans. Those who aren't fans of the King dislike the dull storyline and the weak acting chops of the film's stars. This is the only movie for which Elvis Presley did not record a new soundtrack. All the songs had been recorded between 1960 to 63 and had already been released on several albums or singles. Elvis Presley made this film in a deal with floundering Allied artists, in which he took a pay cut, still making money, $750,000, and did not record any new material in exchange for 50% of the film's profits.
Is it all real, or is it a dream?
Come on, send her back to me.
1966, Jesse James meets Frankenstein's daughter. Director William Bodine. The legendary outlaw, played by John Lupton, takes shelter in the barn of Maria Frankenstein, who then proceeds to change James's wounded companion, Hal, into a killer zombie, billed as the terror shock show of the West. Most fans find the movie hilarious and an entertaining camp fest, but it certainly lacks the requirements to even be considered a great Western. The lab equipment was provided by Ken Strickfaden, who used the same gadgets in Universal's Frankenstein films, as well as Young Frankenstein, 1974. This is one of the few times the equipment was filmed in colour. Produced as part of a double feature with Billy the Kid vs. Dracula, 1966, which was also directed by William Bodine. Shot in 8 days. 1967, A Time for Killing. Directors Phil Coulson, Roger Corman. Harrison Ford's first credited film role was in the 1967 Western dud, A Time for Killing. The movie follows a group of Confederate prisoners of war who've escaped the Union camp they've been held in. While making for the Mexican border, they're tracked by Union troops. Neither group knows that the war is over. The film's ending is underwhelming, and the acting and editing are both mediocre, leaving IMDb users to determine this to be the worst Western of 1967. George Hamilton was dating President Johnson's daughter at the time. One day she decided to visit Hamilton on the set. She was being protected by the Secret Service, so the whole crew saw the natural setting surrounded by armed men. Glenn Ford's son, who was playing a Civil War soldier handling a rifle, confessed later that he had to remember not to point his rifle in the direction of the president's daughter. 1968, Stay Away Joe. Director Peter Tewksbury. Tickle Me wasn't Elvis Presley's only foray into the world of Western films. In 1968, he starred in Stay Away Joe as a mixed-race Navajo Indian rodeo champion who returns to the reservation to raise cattle and bolster his community's standing. Panned by critics for its awful script, the movie performed decently thanks to its legendary star. Elvis Presley gave small roles to his friends Del, Sonny West, Joe Esposito, and Charlie Hodge. The Los Angeles Times wrote that the film could scarcely seem more embarrassingly tasteless or ill-timed than Right Now. In an unintentionally patronizing way, it projects an image of the Indian as happy-go-lucky, immoral, and irresponsible, just when the public is becoming aware of how truly tragic his plight is. 1969, Young Billy Young. Director, Burt Kennedy. Robert Mitchum plays a peace-loving man who becomes a deputy marshal in order to avenge the death of his son in Young Billy Young. While it's not a bad story, most viewers were disappointed by how dull the finished product was, especially compared to westerns like True Grit and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid that came out the same year. Robert Mitchum said he intended to retire from acting when this movie finished filming in August 1968, but in the following year he agreed to star in Ryan's Daughter, 1970. Mitchum earned $200,000. Despite being top billed, Robert Mitchum doesn't turn up until 17 minutes into the film. Leading lady Angie Dickinson does not appear until around 43 minutes.
No, ma'am, I don't guess you had.
Oh, you had no call to lay him out like that?
You got a thick skull. Better I put a dent in it than the next one comes along. Got that front door. Go on, walk.
Young Billy Young had a lot to learn. Young Billy Young.
And does she know it?
On your last patrol, and I do care about Catman.
They might give us the extra time we need.
I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. I appreciate your likes and subscribers. Hit the notification button to get my new videos. Take a look at my channel and check out my Facebook page. The links are in the description. I am Wrangler. Bye for now. See you again soon.
Interesting facts about famous people.